Hey, how's it going? How's everybody doing? Just continuing on with my top whatever number of top favorite horror films of all time. And just to mention this again, these are not independent films. I do love small budget independent films that you get in box sets. I got so many box sets, but I watched so many of them I don't remember which one's which, and the titles are often kind of obscure. And I do watch a lot of foreign horror films too, but these are just the mainstream ones that most people have kind of heard about. Some of them maybe not. Um, a few side-ish things that aren't 100% mainstream, but we'll get to a couple of those as well. Anyway, I'm gonna have a sip of water. Yeah, it's a water day. And then we'll get started. And again, these are not in any particular order. They're just I made a stack of all my favorite horror movies and just pulled some out at random, 10 at a time. So that's what I'm doing. So anyway, we're gonna go back to way back to Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. This is the 1932 version, which I got all the three early versions. This one's also really good. It's kind of interesting. The makeup effects are really well done. That's John Barrymore, who is I think he's either the great grandfather or the great uncle of Drew Barrymore. I know it's family. It's a Hollywood family, but I can't remember exactly. Brother of Lionel Barrymore, who I think was one of the greatest actors of his time. Excellent actor. But this is a silent film. This isn't the one I'm talking about, but it does have good effects. Makeup effects are really well done, as you can see right there. But that's pop that down there. The one I'm talking about though is this 1931 version. This one here with what's his name? Tracy Spencer. Is that his name? Or Spencer Tracy? Sorry, Tracy Spencer. I had the names right, just in the wrong order. But this one here, it's really interesting. It's so the practical effects for that time. What was it? 1930, 32. There's a transformation scene done with no cuts, done as he's watching himself in a mirror. And for years and years, no one knew how it was done. And all it was, and this would only work with black and white film, is they had different colors of makeup and they're using colored lenses or filtered lenses or something. I can't remember what the term is, but and what they would do during certain stages in his transformation, they would switch the lens over. They would just turn it to that color, and then that color would show up, or turn it away from that color, and that color would disappear, I guess. And then you would just get these transformations of some of these eyes are dark, his cheeks are dark. It's even if you don't want to watch the entire film, though I do recommend you check it out because his character as Mr. Hyde, he's just mean. like he's a mean character. Is really well acted. But just go online and look up the transformation. There's also another transformation that's similarly done. I can't remember the name of the movie, but it's a witch. A woman turns into a witch. And they use the same procedure. I would almost argue it's better done, and it's done on a ship or something. I can't remember exactly what it is, but I'm sure if you look this up, that transformation will come too. It's really good. And I got Child's Play right here. Ooh, spooky eye. Not these eyes, this eye. But we dare you to watch. You'll love all new special features, blah blah blah, the usual spiel that they throw on DVDs to sell them. But Child's Play. I'm not going to say it's an amazing movie. It's an amazing movie. It's just a lot of fun to watch. It goes back to the old, from I guess it was originally done in the Twilight Zone with the evil doll. But what makes the film is Brad Dourif. It's Brad Dourif. Anything he's in is, even if it's a shitty movie, he's gonna make the movie interesting. But cats are fighting. But the Chucky doll is kind of iconic and interesting, and I don't know. It is a fun movie. The second one's good too, and after that, just my opinion, I think they got a little bit silly and campy, and just like all franchises, it starts to go in its own direction or a different direction, and kind of just almost gets comical. The horror aspect is long gone. But I do have a Chucky doll, not a full size one. I thought the bubble was coming off, but he's actually a little bit tall for the Chucky doll in terms of the proportions. He's looks more like a, instead of, I guess the Chucky doll is supposed to be like a 4-year-old kind of sized child, but he looks more like an 8 or a 10-year-old. But it's just this Mego company. They basically just use the same bodies and change the heads, the hands, and the clothes, but they'll still use the same body. So I other dolls that are supposed to be children sized and they're sort of somewhere in the middle. But I do like this doll though. It's kind of cool. He's on the back. Anyway, moving on. Christine, obviously based on the Stephen King novel. This is, I've read the book. I don't remember the book that well. I know it strays a little bit from the book, but not too much. Yeah, does this look weird? Sorry, I don't know why I had to do that, because I'm childish. But, you know, and it's one of the few movies that Keith Gordon is in. The only other two off the top of my head that before he started directing, I guess, is Back to School with Rodney Dangerfield and Jaws 2. But he was an excellent actor, and he's really good in this film. You see his character arc is just done to perfection. And everybody in this film is just, they do their roles well. And you have the one bully, Buddy Repperton, I think he's supposed to be a high school kid. The guy looks like he's about 40. I know he doesn't look that old, but he looks like he's pushing 30. And he apparently ended up being a mayor somewhere. So, but aside from that, because he's big and buff, it's like, how am I supposed to, you're in high school? I don't think so. But he is a good villain, and he gets his comeuppance. Not to give anything away, but it is an excellent film. I'd like to believe most people have seen this, horror fans have seen this, and if you haven't, definitely check this one out. Yeah, it's about a car. Sorry, I should have mentioned that. I guess that kind of gives it away in the cover. But it's an evil car, but it's done, really, there's, I'm going to call it a transformation scene, for lack of a better term, that is, with practical effects, it is so well done. Like, it totally makes the movie. The opening scene with Bad to the Bone just playing. Sorry, the cats are fighting. The one cat wants to play, and the other cat, Lemmy, she doesn't want to play with him. And she's making it clear, but he's kind of a dope, and he doesn't know any better. Okay, now he's coming over here. He gave up. But Bad to the Bone in the beginning, just the way it starts, it's really well done. Tremors. Now, you can argue it's more of a sci-fi action film to a point, but it's still, it's a monster movie, and it's really well done. The monsters don't look anything like that for some weird reason. I mean, well, yeah, they don't really look like that, but they look similar, I guess. And they're not quite that big. But his name Fred Ward with Kevin Bacon, they play off each other so well. The chemistry between them is amazing. It makes the movie very watchable if you're not into monster movies. Just them together, and the other character, I can't remember, I don't know her name, but she's the female lead in the film, and she's really good. They all work well together, and all the other side characters you have, I'm just going to call him the father from Family Ties, if you know the show from the 80s with Michael J. Fox, where he got his big start. Just sort of, he was doing that while he was doing Back to the Future. Well, he was already doing that, and then doing Back to the Future, but he's in this as, if you know that show, he was an ex-hippie, a pacifist, and it's a good fun show, or an interesting show, I guess. I don't know, family sitcom from the 80s, but he's in this as like a conspiracist, gun-toting survivalist, I guess that's what I meant to say, and he's an interesting character, and he was in a lot of the sequels that that Kevin Bacon and what's his name there, Fred Ward. I don't know, I called him Earl just now, but Fred Ward, I don't think he was in any of the sequels after 2 or something. I don't know, I can't remember. I haven't seen the sequels in a long time, but this movie for sure is definitely worth checking out if you haven't already. I'm going to talk about Friday the 13th. There's 10 movies in the original series, the remake, Freddy vs. Jason, of course. But I'm just going to talk about my 2 favorite films of the franchise, and I think they're probably unpopular opinions, but these are my opinions, and I like, out of them all, I think the first 2 are the best. And the reason I think the first 2 are the best But the reason I think the first two are the best is because they're horror movies. Well, they all are, but try that again. Yeah, funny face. But is you got part three, which is still good. It's still a horror movie. It's just a little bit silly. That's of course where the mask shows up, and then 4, 5 with the fake Jason. 6 is when um, Kane Hodder started taking over the character and gave the character its own personality. And of course, that's when the zombie Jason makes his first appearance. I'm going to call him Zombie Jason because he's back from the dead and whatever, indestructible Jason. And but those are still entertaining, but they start to get silly because now you're not watching it for the horror, you're watching it for the kills. And once that starts happening, sorry, it's not a horror film anymore. It's just entertainment. Now, don't get me wrong, I do like them with the exception of Jason Goes to Hell because that's the stupidest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life. But you got Jason X, he's in space, and then after that, you got Freddy versus Jason, which completely ignores Jason X and goes to hell, which is fine. I don't know where the retcon begins, so to speak, but it's still entertaining. But again, it's silly. And just like the Nightmare on Elm Street films, after the first few, they started getting kind of campy, and you're just watching the kills, and they're almost kind of stupid. I actually like the remake better than most of the sequels, and of course, Wes Craven's New Nightmare is an excellent movie too. But these are great films in terms of horror. I mean, they're horror classics, slashers, whatever. They're kind of what you expect, but they're actually scary still for their time. And there's also 3 other fan films that you can check out. It's Never Hike in the Snow, and then there's Never Hike Alone Part 1 and Part 2. I think all 3 have Tom Matthews, who played Tommy Jarvis in Part 6. There was 3 Tommy Jarvis films. Of course, the first one with Corey Feldman, which was Part 4, Part 5. Another actor whose name I can't remember. And then 6 is him again as, sorry, and then it's Tom Matthews. Is it Matthews? I hope it's Matthews. I'm saying his name right. As Tommy Doyle. I don't know. My cats are distracting me, so. And it's also 3 o'clock in the morning right now. I'm a night guy, but I also met him at Horrorama, which is a horror, kind of like HorrorCon or Comic Con. All these things is one that they do in Toronto every year. They didn't do it this year, unfortunately. I don't know if it was just a money thing or whatever, but it didn't happen this year. But I've been going to all the other ones since the beginning, and I met him last year, and really nice guy, really chill. Just I talked to him, and he answered all my questions, and we engaged in a conversation. He wasn't like next. I sat patiently because he was talking to someone before me, and he wasn't like trying to rush that person so he could talk to me, being the next person in line. He was like, "You got to wait your turn, but when it's your turn, I'll answer or say anything you want to talk about. I'm here for that." In terms of horror, but really, really nice guy. I will have to say that, and the fact he came back to do the fan films. I don't know how much he got paid because they're fan films, but he just seemed really happy to do it. And when I mentioned Never Hike in the Woods, that's how I found out they were doing a sequel, and he seemed so like excited about that. You have to poop now. Litter boxes are beside me, and now Lemmy's going in there. But anyway, and I do have part 2. Jason. This is from Nico, or Nico, NECA. This is from NECA. I don't even know what Nico is, but NECA. Sorry. And I have so many NECA figures, but this is actually one of the earlier ones I got before my museum started building up and everything. But it's pretty well detailed. But talk about those in other videos. Next one, The Descent. This movie is genuinely scary. It's really well done, acted, and it's about an hour and a half long, I'm going to say. I just rewatched it again the other day. It's so well done, all female cast, and it's nice. It's kind of nice to see that rather than having male leads coming in and being the heroes. Like, it's women, and they're not being stereotypical, in distress, and that it's a really good movie. And if you don't know what the movie's about, then I won't say. But if you already know what it's about, you know what it's about. But you don't find out really what it's about until after the first hour. The first hour, they're in the cave and they're scared and they're lost and they're trying to get out, and they don't know that there's another threat. But it is really well done. The effects are well done. I don't know, it's got some blood, and it's not overdone, and I like it. And there is a sequel that I watched, and I was expecting the worst, and it was actually pretty good too. So, oh, and one other thing I want to say: if you did see this once and thought it was shit because you watched the American version in the theater, that's why you thought it was shit. It was the American version in the theater, which was garbage, because they cut out the entire ending of the film. They had it end at a scene that made no sense, and it almost ends as like a ghost story, which made no sense. I remember walking to the theater, what the hell was that? And then I found out that that was the American ending. If you watched it in Europe, then you would have got the proper ending. And that's when you get it on DVD, or if you watch it online, I'm assuming, or whatever your streaming service, if it has it. I really hope that it does have the ending that's on here, because the ending that's on here is good. It's actually scary. I mean, when the ending happens, you're like, oh, you're kind of like shit. This one here, early Peter Jackson, Dead Alive. I think it's also called something else. I can't remember what they renamed it for some reason, but this is really gory. Lots of blood, lots of practical effects, like just gore on top of gore. It's kind of like a zombie so like it's like a zombie almost, but definitely before Peter Jackson. I think it was after he did Bad Taste, but long before he did Lord of the Rings and started doing his big budget epic things that we all know. But check it out. It's not a whole lot I can really say. It's a zombie movie, sort of. It's funny. It's gory. Not really scary, but it is a lot of fun to watch. And I actually have it on a VHS screening copy that I got years and years ago, which was where I first heard of it. Up next, you want to say hi, or are you just gonna be all growly? No, you're gonna run away. It's a Creature from the Black Lagoon. This came out in the 50s. This is Universal's another Universal monster of a movie. This is from the the Legacy collection, which I have all the Universal movies that came out in this collection. This has all three movies from the series. The last one's almost like a sad movie, because it's goes in a completely different direction. I'm not going to say anything if you haven't seen it and you want to. And it's really sad, but the first one is really well done. The practical effects, the swimming scenes, the costumes, because there's more than one costume. You have the one that was used for swimming, you have the one that was used on land, performed by a couple different actors. It's just a really good movie for its time, and there's a swimming scene where it's shot from the bottom, and eventually you see him. She's a woman swimming, and then he swims upside down facing her, and I think that's when he really started to get attracted to her, because it's a monster movie, so obviously there's going to be a monster in love with a human woman for some weird reason, but that's movies. But but it's really well done, and you see a shot of her from underneath, and you see her swimming above, and Steven Spielberg used that as the opening scene in Jaws when you see the girl swimming. It's taken right from this movie. Like, it was an homage to this film, and it is an excellent movie. Part 2 is good, but they changed the costume, where here he's got the black sunken kind of scary eyes, and part 2 they look like big golf balls with eyeballs painted on them. It looks kind of stupid, but the movie itself is still good. Yeah, I have one of him too. This is a big guy, but I've done a video with him in it. Actually, I did it right in this same room too. I didn't go to my usual spot, but it's got a lot of articulation, but I'm not going to get into that because that's not what this movie's about. But I just like to show off my stuff from my museum, that I like to call it. Put it back there. I got two more. Where are we running at? 19 minutes? Okay. This one, Inside. This is a French movie. This movie is gory on top of gore, and like it's scary and like it's I don't know, I'm not gonna say suspenseful so much, but it's very tense and it's very hard to watch. And if you're an expecting mother, you might not want to watch this one. But it's really well done. It's got a lot of kills, and even I've watched it both with subtitles and I've watched it dubbed. The last time I watched it dubbed, it was the it doesn't look silly. Like everything's still. No, don't you get up here! No, oh, I don't want you knocking over the camera. I love you, but no, yeah, that's what I thought. Go down, go down. No, not on. Okay, fine, go on the counter. Love him, but he's a pain in the butt. But yeah, it's a lot of gore, and as you can see just by these like screenshots on the back. But definitely worth a watch. Like a friend of mine who actually does, I haven't talked to her in a few years, but she used to do, or probably still does, I don't know, horror effects for movies, and she actually recommended this film to me. And I thank her for that because it is a good movie. The last one for tonight is The Skeleton Key. Sorry, the price tag is still on there, kind of, like, back of it. I'm so scared my glass of water's there. I'm scared he's gonna knock it down. But this is a really good movie. What's her name? Yeah, Kate Hudson's in it. It's from the early 2000s, I think, around, let's say roughly 2010. I don't know. I'm just throwing a number out there, but it is an excellent film, well acted. The story is really good. It has talks about something called hoodoo versus that isn't voodoo, but I don't know enough about it to know what's what. I just know that's what the religion that's talked about in this movie, and I'm not going to say too much about it. John Hurt's in it. I think it's one of his last movies, and he's really good in it, even though he doesn't really have a lot of lines. But his character is so really important to the movie. Now, especially when you watch it the second time, and here's what I'm going to say: the first time you watch this, hold on, there. The first time you watch it, it's a psychological thriller. And you're always thinking what's happening, what's next, what's going on. Okay, go down. And then when you get to the end, you're like, oh wow. And then when you watch it the second time, you're going in with a different thought process because you know everything that's happened, you know what's going on, you know what's going through everybody's mind at any point in the movie. Kind of, why is he causing trouble? But but then it's a straight up horror film because once you know what's going on, you're like, it's terrifying to think about what's going through people's minds in this film, especially the protagonists. And can you get out of there? I don't know. But if I wasn't running to the end of the video, I'd pause it and just make him stop. He's crawled up inside something and now he's making a mess, as you could probably hear. But anyway, it is an excellent movie. I saw this in the theater for the first time, and come here. Okay, you're not in there anymore. Just go. Go. There, thank you. Yeah, I probably heard him run away. But definitely check this film out. It is scarier the second time you read it, but it's still really, really good the first time you read it. First time you watch it. What is it with my brain tonight? But I haven't even had any beer. Maybe that's why. I don't know. But definitely check this one out. So all of these, this is part 4 of my favorite horror films of all time. If you want to subscribe, I always mention at the end of my videos instead of the front. Fuck. Hey, I don't know, my brain. But instead of the beginning of my videos, I say it at the end sometimes because I'm so into wanting to start the video. And since I don't do edits, I can't say that, edit it in, and do all the fancy stuff that real YouTubers do. I'm just a guy. But anyway, if you want to subscribe, I'd really like that. I'd really appreciate it. And if you did watch right through to the end, thank you very much. And if you want to hit a like and you want to make a comment, I love comments. I do my best to get back to everybody. And with that being said, until the next one, bye.